जियोपॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन से थोड़ा-सा इम्पैक्टेड है और कोई भी एक्सपर्ट आपको बता नहीं पाएगा कि ये वॉर कब खत्म होगा क्योंकि दोनों साइड्स पे दोनों ही ईरान और यूएस अपने हट के ऊपर बैठे हैं। Every day we open the news channels, we read the newspapers, the matter is getting from bad to worse. So I was telling all of you that today India is in a very difficult situation because 90% of our crude oil is imported, whether it is from Russia, whether it is from Iran. Basically, crude oil prices, if they go up, they have a direct impact on inflation. They have a direct impact on basically the current account deficit, and the government is now going to face a very big challenge. अगर कल वॉर खत्म भी होता है तो मान के चलिए कि क्रूड ऑयल का प्राइस जो 107 $108 बैरल है उसको वापस 85-90 डॉलर आने के लिए टाइम लगेगा और इसका मतलब क्या है कि क्लियरली जो इंपोर्ट बिल है उसका खर्चा बढ़ने वाला है और इसका नतीजा क्या होगा कि इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ेगा। इन्फ्लेशन अगर बढ़ता है तो डेफिनेटली चीजें महंगी हो जाएगी। ऑल्दो गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है कि हम लोग नहीं चाहते कि पेट्रोल की कीमतें बढ़े, लेकिन अभी जो रिपोर्ट्स आई है वो क्लियरली गवर्नमेंट हैज बीन सेइंग दैट वी विल सपोर्ट द ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज, बट ऑल द ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज आर रिकॉर्डिंग अ लॉस ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट 18 to 20 rupees per liter for petrol. So they cannot incur a loss forever. So that is one of the major challenges, and that is why the markets are looking at a very volatile kind of period. So maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks will be the same scenario unless there is a proper solution which is taken out from this ceasefire. I don't think it is going to result in any major rally, at least in the near term. So एक बात तो आप मान के चलिए कि बाजार में कोई जल्दबाजी करने की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि एक दिन ट्रम्प साहब कुछ और बोलेंगे, आज कुछ और बोलेंगे, तो उनका मूड बदलता है। लेकिन जो ऑयल के प्राइसेस है वो इमीडिएटली तो नीचे गिरने का नाम नहीं लेंगे और वही कारण है कि मार्केट थोड़ा-सा अभी 2 दिन से सेलिंग का प्रेशर दिख रहा है। फ्राइडे को भी हमने देखा कल के सत्र में कि करीबन 8,000 करोड़ 8,000 करोड़ ऑफ एफआई सेलिंग केम इन द मार्केट्स। सो दैट हैज एडेड फर्दर प्रेशर। Now, the FI selling has also given a lot of pressure to the Indian rupee. All of you should understand that when you look at the stock market, please look at two big variables, that is the crude oil price and the rupee. The rupee has depreciated to almost 94 rupees, and now at this level, it is going to be extremely difficult for sectors which are dependent on crude oil. So here, I think companies which directly import crude oil as a raw material or maybe the derivatives, they are definitely going to have a problem because it's not easy to push this cost immediately. Most of these companies will have to take a call and will have to, obviously take a pressure on their profit margins. So that is very important. So market में सबसे बड़ा जो challenge है वो एक तो crude oil price का है, weak rupee का है, inflation का है और सबसे बड़ी बात अभी जो चिंता की बात है कि अभी IMD ने कहा है कि इस साल बारिश भी थोड़ी कमजोर आएगी। तो अभी कितनी कमजोर आएगी वो तो मुझे पता नहीं है। वी डोंट नो हाउ वीक द मानसून विल बी, बट definitely for the last 5 years India has been fortunate that monsoons have been good. So that was a key factor in improving our rural demand, especially for improving our growth forecast for the GDP. But this year that is another challenge which has come in. So net I would say that it's going to be a little challenging at least for the next 3 to 6 months unless the war settles down very quickly and we get a very amicable solution and things get back to normal. लग तो रहा है कि मई का महीना भी ऐसे ही होने वाला है। हालांकि अभी जो क्वार्टरली नंबर्स आ गए हैं इसमें कोई मैनेजमेंट ने नेगेटिव तो बोला नहीं है, बट एक बात तो क्लियर है कि अप्रैल टू जून का जो क्वार्टर है इसमें डेफिनेटली जो कंपनीज क्रूड ऑयल के डिपेंड करती है, जो बेसिकली इंपोर्ट्स ज्यादातर अपने रॉ मटेरियल करती है, वहां पे दिक्कत हो सकती है। On the export side, the rupee has weakened, so obviously some sectors like auto components, pharmaceutical exports, IT services, chemical exports, these are also some select sectors which will benefit because a weaker rupee actually will help them to get a better realization. तो नेट ब्रॉडर मार्केट में अगर मैं कहूँ तो देखिए ऑलरेडी 24,000 निफ्टी टूटा है। अगर बहुत जल्दी ये 24,000 रिकवर नहीं होता है तो वेरी पॉसिबली दैट वी माइट गेट possibly trade in a range between 23,500 to 23,700. And very clearly, I think the SIPs which are coming from Indian investors are helping to support the market. At least one good part is that in this kind of market also, the average SIP number per month has been increasing. LIC has also been a big investor in the Indian capital market. So to a large extent, some amount of damage control has been taken care of because of the SIP and, because of institutional buying by life insurance corporation. So net, structurally we are positive, but in the very near term, please don't expect that this volatility will disappear. Volatility थोड़ी सी रहेगी क्योंकि एक तो ग्लोबल मार्केट के ऊपर किसी का कंट्रोल नहीं है, क्रूड ऑयल प्राइस के ऊपर किसी का कंट्रोल नहीं है और जब तक एफआई सेलिंग रुकेगी नहीं, क्लियर है कि अभी भी बॉन्ड यील्ड्स यूएस में करीबन 4 साढ़े 4% है। तो वो जब तक रहेंगी तब तक कहना मुश्किल है कि ये सेलिंग कब तक रुकेगी, बट मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि कम से कम और एक 2-3 महीने के लिए ये शायद आपको सिनेरियो देखने को मिलेगा और डेफिनिटली वैल्यूएशंस बहुत ही अट्रैक्टिव लेवल पे आ चुके हैं। अगर स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक की बात करें तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी मिड कैप, स्मॉल कैप एज वेल एज लार्ज कैप, ये तीनों सेगमेंट्स में हमने अच्छी लेवल्स अभी इमर्ज होने लगी है। लेकिन जैसे हम आपको पहले भी कैसे कहते आए कि अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है तो आपको एक स्टैगर्ड वे में पैसा लगाना है। कौन से सेक्टर में पैसा लगाना है वो हम आपको अभी बताएंगे। वी विल लेट यू नो व्हिच सेक्टर्स look positive and why they look positive. The idea is basically to give you a macro view on the sectors first so that all of us can understand, which are the target companies we can go forward. So having said about the market, I think on all these points, now we move to the other important and the interesting topic today, and that is which are the sectors which are looking interesting. And see, in any market, let me tell you, there is always a bull market happening in any sector. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि बाजार मंदी में चल रहा है तो कहीं पे भी तेजी नहीं हो रही है। स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक और सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक तो डेफिनेटली आपका तो होता रहता है और हमने काफ़ी कंपनी से बात की है, काफ़ी कंपनी से फिज़िकल मीट्स कॉन्फ्रेंस कॉल किए हैं। तो उसका नतीजा ये है कि हमको अभी मोटा-मोटी थोड़ा समझ में आ गया है कि कौन से सेक्टर्स पे अभी इमीडिएटली फोकस करना है। ये कम से कम अगले 3 से 6 महीने के लिए हमारा व्यू रहेगा। सो बेसिकली वन्स 3 to 6 months complete, we'll definitely give you a fresh list because things are changing so dramatically. So you have to keep yourself updated, in a very short period of time. तो पहला जो सेक्टर है वो ऑटोमोटिव और ऑटो कंपोनेंट ही रहेगा बिकॉज़ सी इफ यू सी द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द ऑटोमोबाइल मार्केट, government has reduced the GST duty, it has kept interest rates at the same level. This RBI policy also, the interest rate is not increased. And to a large extent, both from the urban markets and the rural markets, we have seen a lot of, the strong demand for segments like two-wheelers, typically motorcycles. You have seen very strong demand for utility vehicles. You've seen this commercial vehicle sector also now turning around. Passenger cars are also moving very fast because financing has also become very reasonable now. तो मोटा मोटी यही है कि ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स में चारों सेगमेंट्स, आप कमर्शियल व्हीकल ले लो, टू व्हीलर ले लो, यू कैन इवन लुक एट एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर लाइक ट्रैक्टर्स वेयर द वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ हैज बीन इन स्ट्रॉन्ग डबल डिजिट्स. सो दिस सेक्टर आई डोंट थिंक इज गोइंग टू बी दैट बैडली इम्पैक्टेड डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट कि इस साल मानसून थोड़ा कम होगा. तो कहीं ना कहीं मेरे ख्याल से जो ज्यादा रूरल ओरिएंटेड कंपनीज है जैसे companies like say Hero Motor or for that reason even a Maruti, I think there could be some softness in demand there, but urban demand is picking up and clearly cuts have triggered a very good demand. The second important, I think sector which all of us have read and known is basically data center. Government has given a tax holiday to data center companies who invest in India. That is up to 2047, they will be not be taxed. And plus, data centers are now becoming the need of the hour. India is one of the largest market for data, and more data is now stored in data centers which are located in India. So data centers is one opportunity which is like a very structurally a long opportunity. अगले 3-4 साल के लिए बहुत सारा demand आएगा. So this could be a very good area for people to look at because clearly, some stocks have gone up, some stocks have not gone up. But our sense is that this could be a very good opportunity for basically good wealth creation provided people take a medium to long term view. Uh, the next, sector which is connected to data centers is basically wires and cables. So basically, here why I'm telling you wires and cables because it's connected to two important sectors, that is power generation, power distribution. And power generation and power distribution are these sectors which are going to show very strong demand over the next 12 to 18 months. India is a power deficit country. In fact, what we saw in the last 10 years was huge capacity built up in power generation, but उसके बाद कैपेसिटी लैग आ गया और कहीं ना कहीं डिमांड बढ़ते गया, सप्लाई कम था. So our sense is that wire and cables are now going to be the next lever of growth for even data center companies. Whenever a data center is set up, a huge amount of wire and cables are required, and the connectivity being very important, the higher end wire cable companies obviously can definitely give you a very good risk reward. Again, this sector is dependent on imported copper, so copper prices काफी key variable रहेंगे. But otherwise, I think the pricing power and the benefits of these companies is immense because without the data center, connectivity by wire and cables, it is not possible to make these operations. So this is also another important sector. Then we go to the capital goods sector. Capital goods sector, according to us, is one of the most important element in India's manufacturing story. So, companies like Larsen and Toubro, Action Construction, many companies, which I may not remember now, but clearly capital goods is one sector where I think India's growth story is going to continue very strong. This is very clearly indicated from the fact that when we met a lot of manufacturing companies, corporate capex plans have been very, very strong. Next 1 to 2 years, most of these companies are talking of investing at least 100 to 200 crores on an average. Large companies have chalked out green projects, they've chalked out brownfield expansion. तो इसका मतलब यही है कि जब तक इंडिया में कैपिटल एक्सपेंशन होगा, तब तक बहुत पैसा कैपिटल गुड्स कंपनीज को मिलेगा. On the other hand, the government has also announced a very large capex of almost 12 lakh crores in the budget. So all this money is also going to come. It may come in construction activity, infrastructure activity, EPC projects. So entire basket looks interesting. But again, as I said, we need to be a little careful in picking and choosing the right company here. Then we are talking about hospitals. See, hospitals is one unique sector which has flourished in the last 2 to 3 years. The government has also pushed hospitals in a very big way. Most importantly, today insurance has become a very important element in hospitals. कोई भी आज हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट होता है तो कैशलेस होता है या इंश्योरेंस का पेमेंट होता है तो उससे हॉस्पिटल्स को काफी फायदा हो गया है. और इंडिया में मैं कहूंगा कि जो बेड कैपेसिटी है वो अभी भी ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स के हिसाब से बहुत कम है. So specifically in pockets like Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Haryana, or for that reason, states like Rajasthan, these are the places where tremendous growth has come in the hospital space. So here also, I would suggest that this is one area which should also occupy. The other sector, which is basically a service sector and which has been a steady performer for a very long time, is basically the hotel sector. Now, hotel sector has not been that badly impacted. We have been fortunate that hotel capacity has grown moderately, but demand has grown. Today, it's very difficult to get a hotel room in a city like Mumbai or maybe a metro like Delhi. तो कहने का मतलब क्या है कि all ancillaries which are catering to the hotel sector, maybe visa processing companies, maybe travel tourism companies, plus core hotel companies, these could be good pockets of defensive allocation for the investor. So ये भी एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो कम से कम 10, 12, 15% ग्रोथ ये साल भी दिखा सकता है. तो हमारा मानना है कि हमने काफी होटल्स कंपनीज को मिले, उनके साथ बात की, तो क्लियरली एक रिफ्लेक्शन आ गया कि प्रीमियम और मिड साइज होटल के लिए अभी भी काफी जगह है. उसके बाद हमको लगता है कि जो ट्रेडिशनल सेक्टर्स है जैसे रेलवे और डिफेंस है, these sectors have become compounders. देखिए अभी मौका नहीं है कि आपको कोई स्टॉक एकदम सस्ते में मिले, लेकिन जिस प्रकार से ऑर्डर्स डिफेंस कंपनीज को मिल रही है, जिस प्रकार से रेलवेज को फोकस गवर्नमेंट का बड़ा है, एक बात तो क्लियर है कि अगले 1.5-2 साल में ये सेक्टर और बड़ा होगा. यू विल हैव अ वेरी लार्ज अपॉर्चुनिटी इन बोथ द रेलवेज एंड द defense sector. Defense is primarily looking more interesting because we are seeing that government is now pushing for a higher, indigenization. That Make in India policy, which started a few years back, is now gaining further momentum. And not only the large cap, but even small companies, in the space are growing from strength to strength. तो कहने का मतलब क्या है कि यहाँ पे भी मैं यही कहूंगा कि गिने चुने जो कंपनीज है यहाँ पे अपॉर्चुनिटी है. और सबसे बड़ी बात, investors should definitely have defense and railway as a small percentage of their portfolio. Then we come to basically the banks. Banks को आप बिल्कुल इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते. Banks वैसे तो हाई अल्फा सेक्टर है क्योंकि बैंक निफ्टी गिरता है तो most of the investors are little worried. But I think from a investment standpoint of view, जितने भी numbers बैंक के आ गए, for example, बैंक, Axis Bank, then ICICI, you can even look at PSU banks like Bank of Maharashtra. Typically now SBI numbers are awaited. I would say that could be a very good opportunity for investors to look at the PSU banks. PSU banks are probably in the best possible scenario. इनकी बैलेंस शीट अभी सबसे बेहतर है, एसेट क्वालिटी भी काफी कम हो चुकी है. तो कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि आपको इन सेक्टर के शेयर्स पे ज़रूर थोड़ा एलोकेशन करना चाहिए। उसके बाद जो सेक्टर आता है वो नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंशियल कंपनीज़ है, एनबीएफसीज़, क्योंकि जैसे बैंक्स की इम्प्रूवमेंट आती है, तभी आपको एनबीएफसीज़ और हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ में भी अच्छा ट्रैक्शन देखने को मिलेगा। सबसे बड़ी बात मुझे लगता नहीं है कि इन द वेरी नियर टर्म इंटरेस्ट रेट्स बढ़ेंगे। आरबीआई ने भी एक कॉशियस स्टैंस लिया है। आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट विल बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन हाउ द मैक्रो वेरिएबल्स मूव अप, क्योंकि अगर क्रूड 120-130 डॉलर होता है, रुपया और थोड़ा कमज़ोर होता है, तो हो सकता है कि रेट हाइक आ सकता है, लेकिन इससे मुझे लगता है कि कोर डिमांड में कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी ऐसा लगता नहीं। तो यहाँ पे मैं कहूँगा कि नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी जो ज़्यादातर हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ में है, कंज्यूमर फाइनेंसिंग में है, कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल फाइनेंसिंग में है, यहाँ पे नज़र रखिए और ज़्यादातर बड़े ने नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ पे हमारा एक्शन रहेगा, आई मीन फ़ोकस रहेगा। जैसे कि बजाज फाइनेंस है, श्रीराम फाइनेंस है, बेसिकली हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ लाइक पीएनबी हाउसिंग है। तो मैं कहूँगा कि पिक एंड चूज़ करना है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी बैंक्स है, बहुत सारी हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ है। इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम सब कुछ एक साथ सभी खरीदें, क्योंकि फंड सभी के पास लिमिटेड होते हैं। तो बेसिकली यू हैव टू बी लिटिल सिलेक्टिव, बट एट द सेम टाइम इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ वेरी वेरी promising area according to me over the next 12 to 15 months. Then finally, we come to the consumption packet. Consumption is one area where India will continue to grow. And I would say that, in this pocket, basically companies which are into the liquor space, which are into the beverages space, ये दो segments ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे pricing power काफ़ी है, जहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि कहीं न कहीं अगर आपको पैसा लगाना है, तो ब्रांड और फ्रैंचाइज़ अच्छा होने के बावजूद और उसका बेनिफिट इन कंपनीज़ को मिलेगा। So I would say that, clearly these are areas where some amount of value buying can be done. Already some buying has started here, but wherever the brand is good, wherever the geographical reach is good, there I think you're going to see a lot of consumption driven kind of buying happening. So this is another interesting area. And of course, the last sector which we are positive in the longer term, in the short term, maybe there will be some volatility, is basically capital market related companies. Now, most people ask us that when the market goes down, what to do? Will this affect capital market intermediaries like the stock exchanges or maybe the asset management mutual fund companies, the wealth companies, the depository companies, registrar companies? तो मेरा एक ही मानना है कि ये ऐसी कंपनीज है जो लॉन्ग टर्म कंपाउंडर्स है। इंडिया अभी भी ऐसी कंट्री है जहाँ पे 150 करोड़ का पॉपुलेशन है, मुश्किल से 15 करोड़ या 16 करोड़ के डीमैट अकाउंट है। और ये मुझे लगता है कि आपको समझना है कि अगले 3 5 4 5 साल में ये डीमैट अकाउंट्स कम से कम 40-50 करोड़ भी पहुँचने की कैपेसिटी रखते हैं। So clearly, I think mutual fund companies, as SIPs grow, most of the mutual fund companies, the larger ones as well as the medium-sized ones will continue to grow. Uh, you know, Depository players, now we have got one more depository listed. So I would say that the market opportunity for both these companies, CDSL, NSDL, is very strong. And again, wealth management companies, have already gone up. So obviously there you need to take a very selective, calculated approach. Registrar companies are also not very cheap, but I think clearly, the mutual fund companies, or for that reason, the exchanges, or for that reason, the depository companies, I would say that these are very good opportunities provided, one can take at least a 2-year view. So friends, these are the broad sectors. In fact, on the companies, when we get the questions, we will definitely answer all the questions related to stock specific companies, from these sectors. Now we come to basically sectors which I think we should avoid. I mean, I may be wrong here, but I would like to emphasize that as of now, the situation here in these sectors looks little negative. The first sector to avoid is basically the oil marketing companies. देखिए, oil marketing companies में BPCL, HPCL, IOC, even upstream companies like ONGC, I think have been not that strong performing, despite the fact that their profitability is linked to the crude oil price. तो पहले तो ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज में थोड़ा सा बच के रहिए, क्योंकि अगर क्रूड 120-130 डॉलर होता है और गवर्नमेंट ने इलेक्शन के बाद, जो अभी कलकत्ता का बंगाल का इलेक्शन हो गया है, रिपोर्ट्स ऐसा सजेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि इलेक्शन होने के बाद हो सकता है गवर्नमेंट पेट्रोल के प्राइसेस बढ़ा दे। और ऐसा अगर होता है, तो डेफिनेटली मुझे लगता है कि ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज को वापस इनके प्राइसेस बढ़ाने पड़ेंगे। और कितना भी कहे, कुछ भी कहो, अल्टीमेटली इन इंडिया मार्केट इज प्राइस सेंसिटिव, सो फ्यूल कंजम्पशन आल्सो इज गोइंग टू बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन द प्राइस। तो जहाँ पे जरूरत है वहां पे तो व्हीकल चलेगी, बट जो मेरे ख्याल से जो पैसेंजर कार का पॉपुलेशन है, टू व्हीलर का है, यहाँ पे हो सकता है थोड़ी दिक्कत हो सकती है। तो ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनीज आर क्लियर अवॉइड नाउ। Second sector which is avoidable is aviation. See, aviation again is a very concentrated market in India. Indigo controls almost 50% market share, but other players like Air India है जो unlisted है, SpiceJet है. मुझे लगता है कि Air India and SpiceJet could basically be hit more badly. Of course, Indigo also will be hit badly because almost 50% of their cost is fuel price. तो ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो फ्यूल प्राइस जब गिरेगा तभी बहुत अच्छा चलेगा, लेकिन लग तो रहा है कि नियर टर्म में जो जियोपॉलिटिकल कंडीशंस है एविएशन में ज्यादातर मोमेंटम ही होगा, बट विल नॉट बी अ वेल्थ कंपाउंडर एटलीस्ट एज ऑफ नाउ. द सेकंड सेक्टर इज बेसिकली पेंट्स एंड लुब्रिकेंट्स. पेंट सेक्टर में सभी को पता है कि रॉ मटेरियल जो है वो बेसिकली इट इज अ फंक्शन ऑफ क्रूड ऑयल डेरिवेटिव्स. Lubricants also are a function of crude oil derivatives. So, these companies definitely do a conversion, and then because of their brand and geographical network, they get a decent amount of pricing power. But if crude prices go beyond a level upwards, then there is definitely no doubt that both the paint and the lubricant sectors are going to be impacted badly. The chemical and the carbon black sector are also sectors which I think one should avoid because, again, as I said, almost 50% raw material is basically crude oil. Crude oil price definitely has a direct impact on their contribution margins, and if they are not able to pass this to customers, then they are definitely going to see a weak April to June quarter. And I think no one knows how long this geopolitical situation will continue. If it ends tomorrow, I think everything will be back to normal. But if it continues for another month or 2 months, I think things can get bad. Then we come to basically the agro chemicals and the pesticide sector. Now, with a weak monsoon, I think it is very clear that fertilizer, agrochemical, pesticide, these are all sectors which are dependent on the monsoon factor. monsoon अगर खराब होता है तो दोस्तों ये थोड़ी सी दिक्कत इन सेक्टर्स के लिए खड़ा कर देगी. तो हमारा मानना है कि अभी फिलहाल कोई जल्दबाजी ना करे, क्योंकि नॉर्मली पेस्टिसाइड कंपनीज में जो पहला फर्स्ट हाफ होता है अप्रैल टू सितंबर वो सबसे अच्छा तेज होता है. अक्टूबर टू मार्च में जैसे जैसे आगे समय बढ़ता है वो कंजम्पशन थोड़ा सा कम होता है, बट फिर भी मैं कहूंगा कि अप्रैल टू जून का क्वार्टर ऑब्जर्व करिए, तब तक कोई फ्रेश निवेश इसमें करना थोड़ा सा विल नॉट बी गुड. देन बेसिकली वी कम टू द एफएमसीजी सेक्टर. अभी एफएमसीजी में दिक्कत ये है कि एफएमसीजी सेक्टर तो वैसे भी अगर आप कोई भी कंपनी देखेंगे तो फेयर टू एक्सपेंसिव वैल्यूएशन, और ये पहले से है. इट इज नॉट दैट एफएमसीजी सेक्टर वाज एक्सपेंसिव ऑलवेज. इट वाज ऑलवेज एक्सपेंसिव बिकॉज हियर द ब्रांड, द फ्रेंचाइज, द ज्योग्राफिकल रीच एंड द the branding power was the most important element. So there are few companies which are dependent on a very large extent on the rural markets. In these cases, it's very difficult to believe that market demand will go up. So here also I would say that FMCG is going to be a little impacted sector, maybe not entirely, but companies which are largely dependent on the rural markets are definitely going to find their volume growth going down. So here I think at least for the time being it's an avoid from our side. Then I think we can also look at basically I think the food delivery app companies, as well as the basically companies like Swiggy, Zomato, that is now Eternal. देखिए मुझे लगता है कि ये सारी कंपनीज में अभी कंपटीशन बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ा है. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव ऑलरेडी इन्वेस्टेड हियर. मेरा मानना है कि यहाँ पे अभी तक नैरेटिव चल रहा है कैश फ्लो या बेसिकली एक्चुअल बॉटम लाइन या एक्चुअल प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी अभी भी आई नहीं है. तो ये भी कंपनीज है जहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा सा बच के रहना है. एंड फाइनली just to conclude on the sector which possibly can also be positive, because one sector which I missed out was basically the gold finance and the gold jewelry sector. देखिए इंडिया में गोल्ड ज्वेलरी और गोल्ड फाइनेंस ऐसे सेक्टर्स है जहाँ पे सेकुलर ग्रोथ आपको देखने को मिलेगा. काफी समय तक गोल्ड अच्छा चला, सिल्वर अच्छा चला, उसके बाद बिकवाली आई. तो काफी लोगों ने कहा कि अभी क्या करें, अभी वेदर गोल्ड इज आउट ऑफ फ्लेवर. My suggestion is that wherever the gold is converted into something value added like jewelry, the demand will continue. In fact, April to June is a very good season for marriages, so expect another strong quarter from the gold jewelry companies. In fact, all the gold jewelry companies we have spoken, they have clearly told that sir, even if the gold price increases, gold is always an appreciating asset. Gold was 50,000 rupees, then it went to 1 lakh rupees. Going forward, even if gold price doubles from here, longer term, the demand for gold is going to continue. So gold jewelry companies will continue to grow. As far as gold finance companies are concerned, there are hardly one or two companies in the market. And please remember, unlike the banks or the NBFCs which have got asset quality issues, these companies, the best part is that they lend against gold. तो गोल्ड कभी भी डेप्रिशिएट होगा और वो भी इतना ज़्यादा होगा ऐसा मुझे लगता नहीं है। इंडिया में गोल्ड की रिज़र्व काफ़ी बड़ी है। गोल्ड बेसिकली नॉट ओनली ज्वेलरी बट मेरे ख्याल से ऑस्पिशियस कारणों के लिए भी खरीदा जाता है। तो कहीं न कहीं मुझे लगता है कि कंपेयर टू सिल्वर, गोल्ड इज़ डेफिनिटली बेटर पोज़िशन्ड एंड देयरफॉर आई थिंक गोल्ड कैन कंटिन्यू टू डू वेल। Now, friend, we have discussed about sectors which are good, sectors which are avoidable according to me. And now we start basically about the most important question which all of us want to know. That is, in this market, how do you deploy and make, construct a portfolio which is going to face this market volatility? हमको इस बाजार में कैसे पोर्टफोलियो ऐड करना है? पहला तो मैं यही कहूंगा कि जो भी आपके पास फंड्स है और जहां पे आपने निवेश किया नहीं है, वहां पे मुश्किल से 20-25% ही डिप्लॉय करिए। हमने आपको ये पहले भी कहा था, इनफैक्ट इन मोस्ट ऑफ माय पब्लिक अपीयरेंसेस आल्सो हैव सेड, please don't make the mistake of deploying entire money as of now because we don't know how the market will perform in the next 2 months or 3 months because today we have crossed below 24,000. अगर मान के चलिए कि 23,500 भी हम गिरते हैं तो डेफिनेटली मुझे लगता है कि तभी वेदर इट इज अ क्वालिटी स्टॉक, क्वालिटी सेक्टर, मार्केट किसी को बख्शता नहीं है। आई मीन सबकी पिटाई होती है। तो मैं वही कहूंगा कि स्ट्रक्चरली लॉन्ग टर्म हम पॉजिटिव है, लेकिन शॉर्ट टर्म में हमको वी हैव टू बी वेरी कॉशियस एंड एवरी पेनी एंड एवरी रुपी व्हिच वी इन्वेस्ट वी नीड टू बी वेरी केयरफुल। सो बॉटम लाइन वही है कि 20-25% अपना पोर्टफोलियो में ऐड करिए। और मुझे लगता है कि जिस सेक्टर्स में मैंने अभी आपको बात की, उसमें से 3 या 4 सेक्टर्स मुझे लगता है कि आपको तुरंत इमीडिएटली फोकस करना चाहिए। एक तो ऑटो है, एक तो ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स है। तो यहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि अगर आप 10-12% अगर एलोकेशन करते हो, तो उसमें कोई फ़िक्र या डरने की बात नहीं है क्योंकि कहीं न कहीं मुझे लगता है कि दीज़ आर सेक्टर्स व्हिच आर गोइंग टू ग्रो वेरी रैपिडली। The other sector which I think will do well is basically the wire and cable and the data center theme. These are not going to be impacted by the geopolitical situation, by the crude oil prices. And most importantly, demand is growing by leaps and bounds. So यहाँ पे demand की कोई problem नहीं है. So this can be another sector where another 10-15%, one can take an allocation. The other sectors where I told where I think we are very comfortable because of their stability is the hospital and the hotel sector. यहाँ पे कम से कम 10-15% आप allocation कर सकते हो. We will talk about individual stocks when we get the questions in the Q&A session. But hospitals is one business which is structurally very strong. In fact, there have been some reports now in the market that government may think of capping, hospitals from putting services in control. बट मुझे लगता है कि ये पॉसिबल नहीं है क्योंकि एक ही जगह है जहाँ पे कस्टमर बार्गेन कर नहीं सकता और वो हॉस्पिटल है। दूसरी बात, अगर होटल की बात करें तो होटल सेक्टर में जो इन्फ्लोज टूरिस्ट के आए हैं, रिलीजियस टूरिज्म जो अभी बढ़ रहा है इंडिया में, उसका काफी डिमांड है। एंड फ्रैंकली इट हैज बिकम नाउ अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल दैट इंडियंस ट्राई टू ट्रैवल एटलीस्ट 2 to 3 टाइम्स इन अ ईयर विद देयर फैमिली। सो होटल्स डेफिनेटली विल बी अनदर स्टेबल सेक्टर। उसके बाद मैं समझता हूँ कि रेलवेज, डिफेंस, ये ऐसे सेक्टर्स है जो लगातार आपको न्यूज फ्लोज मिलेंगे कि नए ऑर्डर मिले हैं, नई एक्सपेंशन हो रही है, गवर्नमेंट कुछ नई छूट दे रहा है। तो रेलवेज और डिफेंस एक ऐसा सेक्टर हो सकता है जहाँ पे और 10-12% आप यू कैन कंस्ट्रक्ट योर पोर्टफोलियो। एंड फाइनली एज आई टोल्ड यू दैट कैपिटल मार्केट इंटरमीडिएटरीज, व्हेनेवर द मार्केट्स करेक्ट, आपको देखना है कि कोई म्यूचुअल फंड की कंपनी, कोई रजिस्ट्रार की कंपनी, कोई डिपॉजिटरी की कंपनी लंबी अवधि के लिए यहाँ पे एंट्री करिए। अगर आपका नजरिया 6 मंथ्स 3 मंथ्स है तो फिर मतलब नहीं है। बट अगर आपका 1.5-2 साल का नजरिया है तो मैं कहूंगा कि इंडियन कैपिटल मार्केट को ग्रो करने के लिए बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है। इसका एक प्रूफ ये है कि अभी भी प्राइमरी मार्केट में आप अगर मेन बोर्ड कंपनीज के आईपीओ देखेंगे, एसएमई कंपनीज के आईपीओ देखेंगे, तो पैसा अभी भी इन्वेस्टर्स सब्सक्राइब कर रहे हैं। हालांकि देखिए अभी कोई लिस्टिंग गेन मिल नहीं रहा है जो पहले 100% 200% हुआ करता था। बट वेरी क्लियरली आई थिंक द एपिटाइट ऑफ द कैपिटल मार्केट टू एब्जॉर्ब मोर कैपिटल and to provide new businesses with capital is very very large, and that's why we cannot ignore the capital market. That is going to be a part and parcel of the Indian capital market DNA. So now, having told you the structure of the capital market, I would now I think give you a little insight about the investment framework which we follow. हम किस तरह से कंपनीज को आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं और हमारा जो प्रोसेस है वो हम आपको बताना चाहेंगे क्योंकि हम इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू टू अंडरस्टैंड what thought process we use when we look at any company, when we meet the promoter, when we meet the management. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी वांट टू गेट इनटू स्मॉल एंड मीडियम साइज कंपनीज। ऑफ कोर्स लार्ज कैप में तो काम करते ही है, बट जो कंपनी 500 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप और 5000 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप के बीच में है, देखिए यही कंपनी से अल्फा जनरेट होगा। अल्फा जनरेट होगा उसका मतलब क्या है कि वो कंपनी मल्टीप्लाई होगी। कंपनी जैसे ओएनजीसी है, रिलायंस है, बजाज फाइनेंस है, एल&टी है। देखिए ये कंपनी सब अच्छी है, लेकिन ये आपको मुश्किल से साल में 10-15% देगी। अगर आपने एक सही कंपनी मिड कैप, स्मॉल कैप या जो 2000 या 5000 करोड़ की कंपनी ली या 1000 करोड़ की कंपनी ली, तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारा पोटेंशियल, ये कंपनी आपको कम से कम अगले 2-3 साल में इट कैन गिव यू इवन अ 4 टू 5x काइंड ऑफ रिटर्न। तो कहने का मतलब क्या है कि ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पे ड्यू डिलिजेंस, यहाँ पे कंपनी का मीटिंग, यहाँ पे कंटिन्यूअसली अपडेटिंग बहुत जरूरी है, लेकिन पैसा वहीं पे बनेगा और वहीं पे हमारा फोकस है। सो वी डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू कंपनीज व्हिच आर ऑलरेडी आइडेंटिफाइड। सेकंड इज वी वांट टू गेट इनटू अंडर रिसर्च्ड कंपनीज एंड अंडर वैल्यूड कंपनी। सबसे बड़ी बात देखो, जहाँ पे कोई कंपनी का रिसर्च रिपोर्ट नहीं है, जहाँ पे कंपनी के प्रमोटर के किसी ने मिला नहीं है, ऐसी कंपनीज में हमारा पहला फोकस होता है। और these are the companies where maximum amount of mileage is taken by very large HNIs like Ashish Kacholia, Mukul Agarwal, Ramesh Damani. All these people are well known in the market. I'm quite sure all of you know. But then these are the guys who personally, we have known some of them. They always focus on the alpha and on something new. Most of the fund managers, most of the family offices, most of the PMSs have also now started looking at companies which are under research. So this is a space where we will continue to put our focus. And third is basically, we want to basically understand what is the competitive advantage of these companies. कोई ना कोई एक कंपनी का एडवांटेज होना चाहिए कि जिसको वो डिफरेंशिएट करे। उसका कंपनी का प्रोडक्ट हो सकता है, उस कंपनी का मार्केटिंग हो सकता है, उसकी ब्रांड हो सकती है, ज्योग्राफिकल रीच हो सकता है। तो कोई ना कोई ऐसी यूनिक बिजनेस का जो कॉम्पिटिटिव स्ट्रेंथ है वो हम पहले कंपनी में देखते हैं। और सबसे बड़ी बात, जो कंपनी कैश फ्लो जनरेट करती है, देखिए हमने पहले भी आपको कहा है कि बहुत रेयरली हम ऐसी कंपनीज में पैसा लगाते हैं जहाँ पे ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो बहुत समय तक नेगेटिव होता है। हमने हमारे अविनाश मेंटर के ट्रेनिंग मॉडल में भी काफी लोगों को कहा है कि जब भी तक कंपनी का कोई ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो बनता नहीं है और वो ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो का कन्वर्जन ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट का मिनिमम 30-40% नहीं होता और कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं होती, ऐसी कंपनीज में फ्यूचर कुछ नहीं होता। जैसे कि हमने देखा है कि देखिए अभी जेंसॉल जो काफी समय पहले काफी बड़ा कांड हो गया, इस कंपनी की आप ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो पिछले 4 साल का देखिए, हर साल नेगेटिव था। कंपनी कैसे वैसे भी फंड्स लेके काम चलाती थी, लेकिन जब गिरावट आई तभी ऐसी कंपनी में बेसिकली गिरावट बहुत भारी आ गई। तो कहने का मतलब क्या है, बेसिकली व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट वी डू नॉट फेवर कंपनीज व्हिच हैव गॉट नेगेटिव ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो, because that is a clear signal that the business does not have any pricing power, it does not have any advantage with its customer, and that it doesn't have a great future. Of course, there are some companies where the operating cash flow is negative in the initial years. One can take a very selective approach, but यहाँ पे आपको बहुत selective रहना है क्योंकि हर कंपनी को आप ये यार्डस्टिक यूज नहीं कर पाओगे। और फाइनली देखिए, जो कंपनी चलाने वाला प्रमोटर है, द कंपनी विच इज रन बाय द प्रमोटर is more important than the financials and the business. So if you have a wrong promoter in a good company, so that also is a negative. So we believe that what is the quality of the promoter. प्रमोटर हिंदी में बात करता है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, लेकिन उसको धंधे की समझ बिल्कुल आनी चाहिए। प्रमोटर शुड हैव स्किन इन द गेम, उसने खुद का पैसा लगाना चाहिए। Many companies we find the promoter shareholding is hardly 19%, 20%. Classic example is Lenskart, which has got Piyush Bansal has just got 19%. So we are not enthused by this. Despite the fact that it's got a very good brand, a very good geographical reach, a very good product, the promoter's skin in the game is very important for us. And that is why we largely favor companies, where the promoter is an equal shareholder in the business. So friends, this is the broad investment, framework which we have. I have spoken quite at length on the sectors we like, sectors we have avoided, and obviously our investment framework and the broader market. We'll now like to take question answer session so that all of you can join and have an interactive session with me. I think Tushar, we can start one by one. I think we request everybody to ask a question one by one so that there is no crowding.
Yeah, everyone can ask the question in chat box or can raise the hand. So we will start the question and answer session. Yeah.
Dilpreet.
Yeah,
That is
Dilpreet sir,
Charanjit,
you can ask the
sorry.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
Repeating an answer. Sir,
Sir, question पूछिए.
you spoke about black carbon companies like PCBL and all those things. So at the current price, PCBL is not the right investment to be made, or it is just leave it for the time being, looking
No,
at
no,
the
I
big
think
news, right?
I think better to leave it because whatever impact of this crude price, whatever impact of the crude derivatives, that is going to come in the April to June quarter. I think it will not be avoidable. So, I think in this market, एक बार खरीदने के बाद आप डिसीजन बदल नहीं सकते. तो उससे बेहतर है आप थोड़ा इंतजार करिए. मार्केट आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी देगी. तो मेरे ख्याल से तो अभी तो फ्रेश बाइंग तो करनी नहीं चाहिए. जिनके पास है, वो मैं ये नहीं कहूंगा कि पैनिक में बेच दे, बट फ्रेश बाइंग के लिए तो थोड़ा इंतजार करें.
ठीक है, थैंक यू.
तिवारी सर, आप सवाल पूछ लीजिए.
फार्मा सेक्टर कैसा रहेगा सर?
देखिए, फार्मा सेक्टर मैंने कवर नहीं किया, लेकिन फार्मा सेक्टर में जो कंपनीज़ यूएस मार्केट को कैटर करती है, जैसे लुपिन है, सन फार्मा है, टोरेंट फार्मा है। मुझे लगता है कि दीज़ आर वेरी डिपेंडेबल बेट्स क्योंकि अभी क्या हो रहा है कि यूएस में कोई यूएस एफडीए रिलेटेड इश्यू आया नहीं है। बट बड़ी कंपनीज़ में मुझे लगता है कि आपको ज़्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी मिलेगी। आई थिंक इवन कंपनीज़ लाइक डिवीज़ है, उसके बाद ऑरिबिंदो फार्मा है। तो आई थिंक दीज़ आर कंपनीज़ व्हिच आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ यू शुड यूज़ अ स्मॉल एसआईपी अप्रोच रादर देन बाइंग एनीथिंग इन वन शॉट। तो डेफिनिटली फार्मा अगले 12-15 महीने का तो आउटलुक अच्छा ही दिख रहा है।
येस, योगेश मुळे सर, प्रश्न विचारा.
Sir, what is your view on MobiKwik and Quadrant Future Tech shares?
Which company?
Thank you. MobiKwik and Quad Future.
पंकज सर, म्यूट कीजिए सर आपका फोन. पंकज सर, पंकज
I could hear MobiKwik. See, MobiKwik, according to me, my sense is, the price when the IPO came, the stock was everybody's favorite. But if you see the performance of the company in the last 1 or 2 quarters, I think it has not been anything great. So I think, if you get a chance, I think it is better to sell on any rise. Otherwise, it is better to switch. I think you've got so many public sector banks, private sector banks available. MobiKwik, my sense is this next 6 to 12 months will be quite challenging because payment area is a very, very crowded space. It's not easy for companies to make money, despite the fact that the market is very big. The profit margins are wafer thin. So I would say that it is better to avoid. I think if you have it, it is better to switch to some other, promising sector like bank hai, capital goods hai, auto components hai. That will be a better choice. And which was the second company?
Sir, thank you. And Quadrant Future Tech.
I don't know. I mean, this company, I don't think I can give you comment.
This is a sir wires and cables in this sector and Kavach related company.
Again, नाम वापस बताओ योगेश.
Sir, Quadrant Future Tech. Recently, last year IPO came of this company.
Yeah, it is a recent company. So I would say that are you already holding the shares or are you planning to buy? I think if you're planning to buy, better to wait. I don't think Q4 numbers have come out. So better to wait. एक बार let us have the conference call, the commentary. After that, I think you can take a call.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Dheeraj Jain sir, you want to ask something? You have put something, your view was PV sector.
Yes, sir. I wanted to know the Avinash sir view on PB sector companies like Pennar and Interarc, and second is in hotel sector like Sami Hotels, right? If he can guide. And I've been working with Avinash sir from long time. He's been my mentor. I really have huge list of stocks what he recommended in last 5-6 years to me, and all of them are flying. So just
Thank you
wanted
so
to
much for your
acknowledge that.
views. Thank you so much for your views, sir. Avinash sir, over to you.
No, I think definitely Sami Hotels is also a promising bet, Dheeraj. I think if you can look at it, from the next 2 years perspective, I would say that Sami Hotels have already got many large marquee investors. Most of the ultra HNIs have already started buying this stock, and I think business is also growing pretty well. So definitely, I think even other investors who prefer to have an exposure in the hotel sector can think of adding Sami Hotels. But as I said earlier, please do your own due diligence. This is not a investment recommendation podcast. Anybody wants to know any view on any particular company in detail, they are more than happy to call us. We'll be happy to share all our views with them. But in this public platform, we will not be able to give you any futuristic view in terms of target price, in terms of time horizon. But yes, if you want to buy this stock and take a long-term view, definitely worthwhile. As far as electric vehicle segment is concerned, see, I think clearly this segment is still in the evolution stage. अभी भी companies profitable नहीं है. आप अगर two wheeler segment देखो या if you talk about the passenger car segment or maybe new vehicles which are launched by most of the companies. I mean, Ola is a very classic example. Company is still struggling. So I would say that this is a sector where I think no one be in a hurry to put money in a big way. Wait for some time because the market is very competitive and government has now reduced tax incentives also. My sense is that possibly this financial year, that is 27, will be a very big important year for them because a large part of their components are imported. So if the rupee depreciates significantly, that is going to have an impact on their margin. So I think यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा caution रखिए. Immediately निवेश करने का कोई immediately कोई decision लेना थोड़ा सा risky हो सकता है.
Yes, sir. So the question was specifically for pre-engineered building like Pennar and Interarc.
So yes, I think pre-engineered products will definitely do well. I think Pennar Industries hai, MNB Engineering hai. These are very solid companies. Interact, is also there. So yes, I think in this market again, it's a long-term call, Dheeraj. If you're looking at the next 12, 18 months, these could be potentially good kind of additions to the portfolio, provided you have this kind of time in mind. Because see, today what has happened is most of the corporates who want to build factories, who want to build commercial establishments, pre-engineered building components have become very important because the time taken to set up these units is very small. तो कहने का मतलब क्या है कि आपको अगर जल्दी फैक्ट्री बनानी है, जल्दी वेयरहाउस बनाना है, तो ये प्री इंजीनियर्ड कंपोनेंट से आप बहुत जल्दी बना सकते हो एंड दैट हैज बिकम अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट इन द ओवरऑल बिजनेस. सो यस, लॉन्गर टर्म अगर साल 1.5 साल का आपका टाइम फ्रेम है तो थोड़ा थोड़ा करके दिस कुड बी अ गुड एंट्री पॉइंट एंड दिस कुड बी अ गुड सेक्टर टू प्ले ऑन.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, Gaurav Chada, sir. Gaurav, sir.
Sir, good afternoon. I think it's a beautiful commentary which you have made right now. Sir, just to check your views on the IT sector, especially the companies which are the jewel like TCS, which are doing well. I know that you would not go company specific, but still on a broader view on the IT thing, because it is like deep dividend, and is it a good value time to getting into a staggered way, or we should still hold? And also, sir, something if you can just touch on one confusion which is always there, that is whether the ETF way is a better way, or the individual stock picking is a better way, especially for the defense and the capital market sectors which you have talked about.
No, I think, see, my guess is that I've always believed in direct equity. So I would suggest that, just follow a small staggered approach, start a small SIP in stocks and follow it religiously, whether it is capital market sector, defense, railways, because see, nobody can time the market. हम लोग यही चाहते हैं ना कि हर बार बाजार अपने हिसाब से नीचे आए और हम वही शेयर वही प्राइस पे खरीदे. रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि उनको इन्फॉर्मेशन टाइम पे नहीं मिलता, तो वो थोड़ा सा डिसइंसेंटिवाइज होते हैं. तो मैं यही कहूंगा कि कहीं ना कहीं आपका पेशेंस और कन्विक्शन होना चाहिए. जैसे अभी म्यूचुअल फंड में एसआईपी हो रहा है, तो वो एसआईपी आप फॉलो करिए और मुझे काफी यकीन है कि रेलवेज, फिर उसके बाद डिफेंस, उसके बाद कैपिटल मार्केट जो रिलेटेड जो सेक्टर के स्टॉक्स है, वहां पे देयर आर गुड नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज वेयर यू कैन बेट ऑन फॉर द नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 years. The story is not going to end just by in the short term. So I think you need to have a disciplined approach there. Now, coming to your question on the IT sector, I purposely avoided this sector because see, today there is a little confusion. We saw good numbers from TCS, but if you saw the numbers from Infosys disappointed everybody by giving a very tepid guidance. अभी वो गाइडेंस सुन के उनका एडीआर भी गिर गया, शेयर का प्राइस भी गिर गया, प्लस परसिस्टेंट के नंबर काफी खराब आ गए. L&T टेक्नोलॉजीज नंबर्स आर आल्सो नॉट अप टू द मार्क. So my sense is that maybe here it is better that immediately we may not put money immediately. But one positive part about the IT companies, which has come now, which we have met many few medium and large companies, is that most of them are cash rich. And now these companies are cleverly now buying small companies. They are taking majority stakes in these small companies. That is going to give them the next lever of growth. क्योंकि देखिए अगर आप TCS देखोगे तो TCS ने एक तगड़ा डिविडेंड दिया है और डिविडेंड देने के बाद भी उनके पास बहुत सारी कैश है. So how are they going to use the cash? Either they give a good dividend, they give a good buyback, but after that also they are left with lot of surplus cash. So the next lever of growth can come, once these companies start buying medium-sized small companies, either AI companies or maybe companies which are into machine learning, into product development. Here, I would like to tell you that, companies which are into the SaaS space are more better. Like, something like a intellect design, or for that reason, typically, companies which are operating on a service model. वहां पे मुझे लगता है कि इतनी दिक्कत इनको नहीं होगी, लेकिन जिनका सर्विस मॉडल है, शायद अगले 1 या 2 क्वार्टर जब तक यूएस मार्केट से वी डोंट गेट क्लियर सिग्नल, बिकॉज the US economy is facing a big challenge, and I think now order wins from US have not been announced by any major Indian company in a big way. So it is better to wait for 1 or 2 quarters and then take a call. But I think अगर किसी को contract bet लेना ही है, तो I think the large cap IT companies would be better because they are far better placed to face the volatility.
Thank you so very much, sir.
सर सिंधु सागर सर, हेलो, सिंधु सागर कौन है? आप हैंड रेज किया। पंकज पंचानी सर, म्यूट कीजिए।
Yeah, good morning, sir. It is a very nice feedback from you on the preferred sectors as well as the sectors to avoid by you. But my question is regarding the new age companies. Though you have touched upon the food delivery companies as well as Lenskart, there are a few companies like Grow and Urban Company and Physics Wala, etc. Some of them have already shown some profits on their quarterly earnings. So my question is whether you prefer any of these news companies for, new age companies for fresh exposure. And another thing is you have not touched upon the renewable energy sector, which is quite in limelight due to this ongoing war between Iran and US. So can we go for any good picks in this renewable energy sector like solar or battery energy storage, something like that?
I think rightly you mentioned, I did not mention on the renewable sector and the other new age companies. But sir, let me tell you one thing that I think in all these companies, unless you got a 2 to 3 year kind of time frame, for example, Physics Wala has done a good job. Physics Wala, if I'm not wrong, has come below its IPO price. So Physics Wala, according to me, is a very strong contender in the online education space. Grow is also definitely growing, but at these valuations, if one were to buy the Grow, I think it looks a slightly expensive kind of stock, at least in the near term. So maybe at a correction, maybe entry point could be suggested. But definitely at these levels, the stock has jumped significantly. It was a good buy maybe at the time it got listed initially, but now I think valuations have become fair to expensive. And as far as renewable energy is concerned, let me make one thing very clear to you. Ki, there is a large capacity built up which is happening not only in the cell capacity, in the solar panel capacity. So it's a basically volume game. So of course the opportunity to grow is very large, and typically we find that when the crude oil prices go up, you find that other alternative kind of energy sources stocks go up, and that is definitely going to happen. India is a country where solar power and renewable energy is still a very small component of the entire power basket. So here I would say that you may not be able to get a compounder. If you are happy with 10, 12, or 15% returns, then I think you can definitely consider some of the large companies. But I would still say that our entire focus when we give a stock to anybody is that you should at least try to earn 20 or 25% at least compounded. So for that, the large renewable companies may not offer you that kind of growth because already valuations are expensive. I am not surprised, but something like a Wari, a Premier, these are companies which are trading at least 50 times price earning multiples. So my sense is any negative surprise, if it comes suddenly, the fall will be equally negative, and we will be equally sharper. So that's the reason I avoid it. And one more company, which is in the new technology space, that is Misho. I have avoided this company also because right from the time the company went public, we have been telling that this company does not have a EBITDA, it does not have basically a return on equity. The entire business is loss making. But फिर भी narrative चल रहा है, and I think all of us know that unlike Amazon, which is of course not listed, Misho does not have their own supply logistics structure. They actually rent it out. तो उनका जो एवरेज रियलाइजेशन का भी टिकट साइज है वो मुश्किल से 250 रुपीज है, जहाँ का अमेजोन का रफली 1000 रुपीज है. तो द बिजनेस इज वेरी स्ट्रक्चरली वीक. Of course, the stock has been going up, despite the fact that numbers have not come in. So I would say that, whenever we put our hard-earned money, please don't put it purely based on narratives. जब तक हार्डकोर डेटा आता नहीं है, मार्केट उसको रिस्पेक्ट नहीं करेगा. थोड़ा समय के लिए हो सकता है कि आपका नैरेटिव चलेगा, बट फाइनली एट सम पॉइंट द मार्केट विल स्टार्ट डिमांडिंग strong data points like operating EBITDA, operating cash flow, profit after tax. जो मेरे ख्याल से ये सारी कंपनीज में अगर आप देखोगे, जो जैसे स्विगी हो गया, इटर्नल हो गया, फॉर दैट रीजन मीशो हो गया, these are companies which are trading at very expensive valuations, and the only fact is that these are all companies where large institutional investors have come in. So that is the reason you find that there is a good support for these companies, but real wealth creation in the near term looks to be very difficult. So this is my view. I may be wrong, but we prefer in basically hardcore manufacturing sectors where decent amount of cash flows are generated and where the risk reward is good and where the entry multiple is affordable for retail as well as for genuinely value investors.
Yeah, Amit Agrawal sir, you want to ask something?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, sir. Actually, I want to ask your view on Fairchem Organics and SBI Cards.
No, I think first company I did not hear the name, but SBI cards, अमित जी, मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले दिनों में दिक्कतें बढ़ेंगी क्योंकि clearly the card business is now getting eaten up by UPI and many other payment wallets. तो कार्ड business चलेगा, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि SBI cards का जो business model है वो कोई ऐसा तूफानी ग्रोथ से बढ़ेगा नहीं. हालांकि इंडिया में अभी भी क्रेडिट कार्ड का पॉपुलेशन बहुत कम है, but मेरे ख्याल से I think this business is not going to grow that much. There are a lot of other options by which you can spend money. Of course, cards will continue to remain in circulation. But if you're looking at a very exponential wealth creation journey here, it may not happen. So अगर आपके पास है तो hold करिए, but I don't think you're going to see a very big value of it. In fact, it would be better that you bet on the bank or you bet on maybe some of the capital good capital market kind of intermediaries. यहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि रनवे कम से कम अगले 3-4 साल के लिए बहुत बड़ा है.
Sir, other company was Fairchem Organics.
सर ये नई कंपनी है लगता है मुझे, आपका अगर आया होगा तो, राइट?
नहीं सर, पुरानी है Fairchem Organics.
अच्छा, फेयरकेम, ओके ओके, सॉरी सर. फेयरकेम में मेरे ख्याल से देखिए स्पेशलिटी केमिकल कंपनी है, लेकिन जैसे मैंने कहा कि मेरे हिसाब से कम 1 क्वार्टर के लिए थोड़ा सा आई वुड लाइक टू मॉनिटर देयर अप्रैल टू जून नंबर, क्योंकि देखिए अगेन स्पेशलिटी केमिकल में सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज क्या है कि अभी भी काफी ऐसे रॉ मटेरियल है जो ये इम्पोर्ट करते हैं, और अगर रॉ मटेरियल का प्राइस
Ashwin Kumar sir, please mute it.
So I think it's better to wait for some time. Although it's a good company, I would say better wait for at least 1-2 quarters.
Thank you so much, sir.
अश्विन कुमार जी, आपका फोन म्यूट कीजिएगा प्लीज. आपको कुछ सवाल पूछना है तो बोलिए.
हेलो.
हाँ बोलिए.
जी नमस्कार अविनाश जी.
हाँ नमस्कार अश्विन जी.
क्या हाल है सर? ठीक हो सर?
हाँ सर, सब बढ़िया.
सर एक मेरे पास शेयर है सर अपना जॉनसन हिताची कंट्रोल का सर.
तो सर आपको तो अच्छा प्रॉफिट बना होगा, पुरानी होल्डिंग है?
नहीं सर, वो ऊपर के रेट में ले रखा है, तो अभी तो सर थोड़ा नुकसान ही हो रहा है उसमें.
सर देखिए ये ऐसी कंपनी है जो प्राइस वाइज भी काफी महंगी है, और दूसरी बात क्या है कि यहाँ पे अगर आप अटक गए हो और आपका नजरिया साल भर का भी नहीं है, तो फिर इसमें मुझे लगता है कि इमीडिएटली 6 to 12 मंथ में तो कुछ ज्यादा होगा नहीं. अगर आप यहाँ पे कम से कम 1.5-2 साल अगर निवेशित रहते हो तो कंपनी अच्छी है, पेरेंटेज अच्छी है, बिजनेस अच्छा है. और देखिए क्या होता है ना, कभी कभी कंपनी बहुत अच्छी है लेकिन गलत प्राइस लेने के बाद आप अटकते हो. तो मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि अगर क्वांटिटी आपकी कम है तो उसको थोड़ा सा एवरेज करिए, या मेरे ख्याल से अगर आपका नजरिया साल भर के नीचे का है तो आई थिंक बैंकिंग में अच्छे मौके हैं. फिर बाद में कैपिटल गुड्स है, ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स है. देखिए सेल करने का डिसीजन थोड़ा सा इमोशनली डिफिकल्ट होता है, लेकिन अगर यहाँ पे आप 1.5-2 साल पकड़ के रख सकते हो तो ही इसमें अच्छा पैसा बनेगा.
नहीं उसमें ना सर अभी कंपनी के पास 82% होल्डिंग है सर.
नहीं वो ठीक है, लेकिन कंपनी अच्छा कर रही है.
और कंपनी अभी थोड़ा डायल अपना वो परसेंटेज भी तो कम लाएगा सर, 75%
लाएगा सर. वो तो देखिए, बट वो इतना भी कम में नहीं रहेगा ना. अगर आपका प्राइस एक्स है तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा 5% या 6% डिस्काउंट पे आएगा. इट विल नॉट बी.
उन्होंने बायबैक भी कुछ 1700-1800 में किया था सर.
हाँ, तो सर वही है ना, तो बायबैक में अगर हो जाता है तो और भी अच्छा सर आपके लिए। फिर आपके शेयर बायबैक में जाएँगे तो सारी देखिए कंपनी, वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, कंपनी के पास बहुत अल्टरनेटिव्स है, आइदर बायबैक है, डिविडेंड है,
ओके
तो वो सब
ओके
करेंगे। बट मेरे ख्याल से सर ये कंपनी में क्वार्टर ऑन क्वार्टर ग्रोथ देख के कुछ मतलब नहीं है। आपको कम से कम 1.5-2 साल का रनवे लेके यहाँ पे आराम से बैठना है। पैसा बनेगा बट टाइम आपको देना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अनफॉर्चुनेटली आपने ऊपरी लेवल पे ये स्टॉक लिया है तो आप अटक गए हो। तो
हाँ जी
अभी
हाँ
आपके पास कोई अल्टरनेटिव नहीं है। अगर आपको लॉस नहीं करना है तो द बेस्ट
जी
थिंग इज जस्ट सिट ऑन इट। टाइम इज सबसे बड़ा सॉल्यूशन होता है सर।
तो नीचे आए तो उसे एवरेज कर लें।
सर डिपेंड्स ऑन आपके पास कितनी क्वांटिटी है। अगर आपके पास ऑलरेडी बड़ी क्वांटिटी है तो फिर और ज़्यादा एवरेज करके एक ही स्टॉक में पूरा पैसा लगाना भी अच्छी
हाँ
स्ट्रेटेजी नहीं है।
वो भी बात ठीक है सर आपकी।
थैंक
ठीक
यू
है
अश्विन कुमार सर, म्यूट
ओके
कीजिएगा आपका फोन प्लीज।
थैंक यू अविनाश जी थैंक यू सर।
स्नेहल जोशी। Snail Joshi, you want to ask something?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, so long time, nice speaking with you, sir. So, my just question. There are two questions. One is related to recently in the social media में बहुत सारे buzz है कि Indian market don't have future, go for US markets and all, right? But at the same time, US market के जो भी foreign हैं, they are at all time high. So, but तो risk reward से देखा जाए तो Indian के ही जो like your approach bottom up will still make the more
देख लिया मैडम
reward
आपने
for us or
किस
this
रेंज में देख रहे
US
हो मैडम
market
आप?
thing. That is one question. And second
क्या
question is about the new age companies like consumer companies like Urban Company and all. Like, how is the future of such companies
हैं?
for in India, Indian economy?
I think my guess is, US companies have already told you here that we are little cautious because we don't like any company which is trading at very
क्या नहीं समझ
rich
रहा
valuation.
फिर
Because
तुम्हारा
finally every stock has got to be valued in the right way. So Urban Company is a good company, but if you see during the time of the public issue also, the numbers were boosted by some other income, by some other adjustment entry, and numbers will take some time. See, now whenever such kind of companies you find some large investor taking a stake, people think that the company is good, we should also buy that stock. So I think that is the first mistake what retail investors make. I am clearly telling you, we meet so many fund managers, we meet so many family offices, clearly want, they are convinced. So maybe somebody, some large investor must have taken a stake in Urban Company, and immediately the stock comes into the focus of retail investors, which is the first mistake retail investors do. Because whenever that fellow exits, you will never come to know also. So Urban Company, according to me, is a great business, but even now valuations are fair to expensive. And your first question, whether we should invest in India or whether we should invest in abroad, see, Indian market is a market where I think a lot of wealth is yet to be created. In fact, I would say that this is a golden time for people who want to build their portfolios. See, कोई भी war इतना लंबा चलता नहीं है. I think we have seen a lot of wars happening in the past. Clearly whenever a war happens, people think सब कुछ खत्म, market खराब, कुछ नहीं है market में. I think normally during these times only you get opportunities. और हमारा तो काम है, as analyst and as SEBI related kind of intermediaries, we always like to get into a company when it is available at an attractive price because of some problem which is happening in the market. So I think bottom up approach ही पैसा बनाएगा. But I think the most important thing is what to buy and when to buy, because clearly what happens is today social media, if you see Twitter, if you see Instagram, if you see WhatsApp, everybody has become an analyst. आज सभी आदमी लोग जो बैठे हैं, हर एक आदमी समझता है कि मैं एनालिस्ट हूँ, मेरे को तो सब कुछ आता है. तो मैं कहूंगा कि जो काम किसको आता है वही उसमें आप काम करिए, एंड वी आर मोर देन हैप्पी टू हेल्प ऑल ऑफ यू. सो बेसिकली व्हेन एवरीबody becomes an analyst, I think then you make the biggest blunders and the biggest mistakes. So I would say that इक्विटी मार्केट में अगर आपको रहना है ना, तो बॉटम अप अप्रोच ही करिए. प्लीज इंक्रीज योर रीडिंग. वी हैव गॉट वेरी गुड व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप्स व्हिच वी हैव सर्कुलेटेड अमंग्स लॉट ऑफ आवर फ्रेंड्स हियर. आई थिंक सी अनफॉर्चुनेटली आजकल कोई पढ़ता ही नहीं है. एवरीबडी वांट्स इंस्टेंट रिजल्ट्स. तो वो जो अप्रोच है, कोविड के बाद जो लोग मार्केट में आए हैं, उन्होंने कभी मंदी बाजार देखा ही नहीं है. इनफैक्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, दिस इज अ गुड टेस्टिंग पीरियड फॉर सच पीपल, बिकॉज दे हैव नेवर सीन अ बेयर मार्केट इन देयर एंटायर करियर. So I think, Snehal, I think coming to the bottom line, please don't ignore Indian equity, because this is the place where wealth can be created. Next 5-10 years, mark my words, lot of money will be made. but you have to be little selective and be stock specific.
Thank you, sir.
स्वप्नील फडकुले सर बोला.
हॅलो सर.
हा.
काही स्टॉक्स मध्ये खूप लॉसेस आहेत सर. ते लॉस बुक करावे, ऍव्हरेज करावे का थांबावं, तिथं काय करावं थोडंसं सर. पूर्वी आपणच रिकमेंड केलेले स्टॉक्स आहेत सर.
आय थिंक माझं म्हणणं आहे स्पेसिफिक स्टॉक्स असतील ना तर आय थिंक यू कॅन डिरेक्टली कॉल मी स्वप्नील. आणि माझं म्हणणं आहे की जिथे लॉस बुक करायचं तिकडे लॉस बुक करावा लागेल, कारण मार्केट डायनामिक आहे. तर त्यामुळे काय आपण एका गोष्टीला चिटकून आपण काम करू शकत नाही. तर त्यामुळे मार्केटमध्ये जिथे जिथे आपल्याला वाटतं की फंडामेंटल्स चेंज झालेले आहेत, जिथे इम्प्रुव्हमेंट येणार नाहीये, तिकडे आय थिंक यू हॅव टू रिअलोकेट कॅपिटल.
Sir,
I would suggest
just like 2 shares, sir. One is Pritika Auto and second is Electro Steel Casting.
though both these companies have not done well, I agree. But I would suggest that, if you have at least a 2-year view, these are not companies which have gone bankrupt or which are now become penny stocks. In fact, I would say that, somebody who can hold on for the next 2 years can definitely think of holding on. But somebody who cannot sustain the loss and who doesn't have a 2-year view, then I think he should exit. But according to me, I would prefer that, in these companies, one event has gone wrong. I think in case of Pritika, they are the largest auto component vendor to the tractor and the commercial vehicle companies. Now, when the commercial vehicle and tractor sector is going to do well, I'm quite sure that going forward, this is a sector which is not that badly impacted by crude price or maybe, by the weak rupee. So definitely, I think you need to give some more time here. I think, in the market, sometimes you have to be tested for your patience. If your patience is not, long, then I think you sometimes come out of a winner also. So electro steel castings, now you must have heard the news that Jal Jeevan projects have started again. In the last 1 year, these projects were stopped by the government. So my guess is that both these events have now started to turn favorably. So in this kind of scenario, I would personally suggest that it's better to average and hold on rather than booking a loss.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
मोहित लोहिया सर बोलिए.
Sir, view on Rajesh Power Service and Power Sector.
Yeah, Rajesh Power, I think right from the time company went public, it's been a very strong performer. It's got a very large order book also. Execution also this time in the fourth quarter was very good. So again, now at these levels, if you hold, I think you should continue the journey. And any fresh buying, I think you're only going to be on declines. And if you even still think of buying now, unless you got a 2-year time frame, you will not be able to get a very good risk reward. So short term में कुछ ज्यादा बढ़ेगा ऐसा लगता नहीं है, क्योंकि already भाव बढ़ चुका है. But definitely good company. I mean, worth holding for the next 2 years.
Okay.
Sir, many people are in chat or in my personal are sending about the membership and mentorship program. So can you please suggest us something?
Yeah, we'll be starting the membership program very soon. In fact, we are working on the content, day and night, and I think very soon we'll announce. And we are looking at adding a lot of new content to that already old content. So we want to add little more value there. So give us some time. Maybe in the next, 2 to 3 weeks, we should be able to complete. And once we do that, we'll make an official announcement. So we'll definitely keep all of you posted. We want to continue, and we'll definitely get back to you on.
Yes, sir. People are asking about membership, sir.
The membership, basically, we have not yet finalized our proposal, but we'll get back to you maybe in the next 2 weeks.
Sir, view on ICICI Pro Life.
सर आईसीआईसीआई प्रू में नंबर्स तो बहुत अच्छे आ गए हैं, और अगर आपका नजरिया 1.5-2 साल है तो डेफिनेटली एसआईपी करिए. इसमें अच्छा पैसा बनेगा, बट ओनली 2 साल में, शॉर्ट टर्म में नहीं.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Avinash sir, there was a news on Anant Raj as well related to money laundering. Sir, what is your view on that?
No, I think, see, my sense is, Dheeraj, these kind of things, tax raid, money laundering, ये सब रेगुलर अभी हो गया है. तो मुझे लगता नहीं इससे कोई मेजर इसमें जो लॉन्ग टर्म स्टोरी है इज गोइंग टू बी इम्पैक्टेड. And of course, we are waiting for the clarification. There will be some clarification put out by the management on the exchanges. But I think for this reason, if somebody panics and sells out, that would not be the right way. So I think as of now, our view continues to be positive. We are not going to be, bothered by the fact that ये raid हो गया, उसलिए company खराब हो गई. there have been cases where a lot of big companies rates have fallen. Example वारी का न्यूज आया था, उसके बाद हीरो मोटर का न्यूज आया था. So I think these are not news which are going to impact the stock price in a big way, unless of course there is something big. So we'll like to wait for the clarity, but as of now, I think better to hold on.
Got it, sir.
Sir,
I think
anything on ITC?
we'll continue till 1 o'clock and then I think we'll finish the session now.
Sir, request for ITC if you may.
ITC क्या? ITC आपको खरीदना है?
Sir, it's already being there for long, so that's the reason I'm just checking.
So see, ITC again, as I have told you, it is going to be a compounder. ऐसे कंपनीज में आपको कोई भरपूर तेजी मिलेगी नहीं. अगर आपके पास पोर्टफोलियो में बहुत पुराना है 50 रुपए वाला, तो आप थोड़ा सा प्रॉफिट बुक करके कोई दूसरे सेक्टर में पैसा डालिए, क्योंकि दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू मल्टीप्लाई. ए वेरी सिंपल थिंग आई एम टेलिंग यू, फ्रॉम दीज लेवल डोंट एक्सपेक्ट आईटीसी टू मल्टीप्लाई. ये कम से कम 2-3 साल में डबल भी नहीं होगा. आपको मुश्किल से साल का 15% रिटर्न मिल गया तो आपको अच्छा मानना चाहिए. तो उस हिसाब से एक स्टेबल परफॉर्मर है, but nothing so great. So I think it all depends on your risk appetite. If you want to make a little more upside on your capital, then you need to shift to growing sectors. As I told you, something like capital goods or something like hotels, hospitals. These would be the better sectors. I mean, ITC will be a good compounder, but beyond that, nothing is it looks to be the fact that it will be a multiplier. So company अच्छा काम कर रही है, लेकिन from shareholder point of view, from return point of view, मुझे नहीं लगता है कि आपको 15% से ज्यादा रिटर्न मिलेगा.
Noted, sir. And sir, since you were positive about the liquor business, so associated alcohols, which you touched upon long back,
Yeah.
Does it still hold merit, sir, to continue with it? I've been holding it.
Yeah. I think associated alcohol should continue to do well. उनका ethanol plant भी शुरू हो चुका है. Plus मुझे लगता है कि I think the promoters have issued warrants also at the current level. So that gives a little bit more comfort that promoters are also very strong. So my sense is that this can definitely be held on for the next 12-18 months. I think definitely prospects look quite good. Overall liquor space में मुझे लगता है कि companies like United Spirits, United Breweries, Radico, these are all very strong. बहुत अच्छा है. And one sector which I think I left out, I would just like to tell for the benefit of everybody that see, recently there have been some reports that sugar का जो companies है वहाँ पे ethanol blending will go up to 100%. Now this is not yet confirmed, but अभी currently 21% है. But my sense is that to make it 100% also it will require a lot of capital investment. So I think whenever you get such news flows, you need to be little careful because ये अभी तक गवर्नमेंट ने तो कुछ अनाउंस किया नहीं है. तो थोड़ा सा you need to be careful about such announcements that sugar companies will be allowed to make 100% ethanol blending from the present 21%. तो खबर अच्छी है और in rising crude prices all these things look very much possible, but reality is to take it up to that 100% will require a huge capital investment. So that point needs to be noted by investors.
Yeah, Vasant Kumar, sir.
Yeah, hi, namaste, sir. Am I audible?
हाँ, नमस्ते वसंत.
सर, बहुत दिनों के बाद आपका ये प्लेटफॉर्म मिला है आपसे इंटरेक्ट करने के लिए. ओके, थैंक्स अ लॉट. ओके, ऑर्गेनाइजिंग वी हैव बीन वेटिंग फॉर. ओके, एंड कमिंग टू द क्वेरीज, राइट? ओके, सो API companies is one, can we look out? Okay, and वहाँ पे जैसा हम सोलारा आई थिंक मेंटरशिप में हमने कवर किए थे लॉन्ग बैक, राइट? ओके, is it a good thing to look at that kind of a value buy? And also like data center theme में और shipbuilding is another theme that it is continuing, right? Okay, Kirloskar Engines वैसा वाला कंपनी या Kirloskar Brothers वैसा वाला कंपनीज देख सकते हैं क्या सर?
नहीं, बिल्कुल. देखिए, शिप बिल्डिंग कंपनीज और फॉर दैट रीजन कंपनीज लाइक किर्लोस्कर ऑयल इंजन, किर्लोस्कर ब्रदर्स, दीज आर ऑल ग्रेट कंपनीज. बट देखो वसंत, क्या है कि ऐसी कंपनीज में अभी एक लेवल से जब स्टॉक 4 फिगर हो जाता है, तो अभी आपको देखना है कि ये दीज आर ऑल गोइंग टू बी कंपाउंडर्स. कंपाउंडर्स का मतलब है कि आपको साल का 15-20% मिलेगा. बियॉन्ड दैट आई थिंक इफ यू एक्सपेक्ट एनी बिग रिटर्न फ्रॉम दीज कंपनीज, इट वुड बी लिटिल अनरियलिस्टिक. So I'm saying that coming to API companies, selectively I think API companies will do well. But एक बात समझ लो कि API companies ज्यादातर commodity business में होती है. इनके पास ज्यादा pricing power होता नहीं. जो real पैसा बनाता है वो pharmaceutical company बनाती है, formulation बनाती है. So I would say that yes, there are going to be good API companies provided your cost is under control. But typically, I think, most of these companies have got a decent amount of import exposure, and companies which are fully indigenized, companies which have got a large customer clientele, and possibly which are not under any profit pressure. Because if you see most of these API companies, margins are very volatile, margins में बहुत ऊपर नीचे होता है. तो मैं यही कहूंगा कि बहुत सिलेक्टिवली आपको यहाँ पे काम करना है. हालांकि ग्रोथ तो जरूर आएगा, but definitely not everybody in the API basket is qualified to buy in the current scenario, because commodity will always get a commodity valuation. एक बात वो समझ लीजिए.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, your views on BESS sector, sir.
See, it is a great opportunity, but see, let me tell you one thing now. Every second company is talking of getting into the BESS sector. See, whenever everybody wants to enter that sector, you have to be careful, because that means that it becomes a commodity sector. Like today, everybody is saying BESS. I don't know how many companies are there in the line, but everybody has said that BESS will be one of my sector. Now, market is big, but it will become similar to solar panel. Like solar panel is a big market, but now every second, third company is making solar panels. Now, in this kind of scenario, what is happening is that when so many companies come in the market, the valuation premium of these companies will slowly disappear. एक सिंपल कॉमन सेंस बात है कि अगर एक चीज 100 नहीं बट 1000 कंपनीज करेगी, तो कहीं ना कहीं तो उसका वैल्यूएशन प्रीमियम तो निकल जाएगा. तो इट इज गोइंग टू बी ओनली वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ. So I would say that in such kind of cases you have to be careful, because it may happen that market will try to give a big opportunity, but in terms of profit margins, in terms of the profitability, everybody is going to undercut, because everybody wants to outsell the other player. So I think to that extent long term prospects are good, but again you've got to be selective. Not every company will make money.
Yeah, Solanki sir.
हेलो अविनाश जी, गुड आफ्टरनून. पंकज सोलंकी है.
पंकज जी, बहुत समय के बाद मिल रहे हैं सर.
हाँ जी. कैसे हैं?
बढ़िया बढ़िया सर.
अविनाश जी, मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था, ये टेलीकॉम सेक्टर में कैसा है, एंड खास करके वोडाफोन आइडिया में. आपको मेरे पास वोडाफोन आइडिया के काफी शेयर्स हैं, अप्रोक्सीमेटली at 10 rupees. तो आई वाज प्लानिंग टू होल्ड देम फॉर अबाउट 5 years. इज इट ओके?
नहीं, देखिए अभी टेलीकॉम सेक्टर में तो ऐसा है कि अभी दो प्लेयर्स जो है, भारती और वोडाफोन, भारती और रिलायंस, ये ऐसी कंपनीज है जो बहुत ज्यादा कैश फ्लो जनरेट करती है. और वोडाफोन की बात करें तो वोडाफोन तो अभी भी आईसीयू पेशेंट है, गवर्नमेंट की मेहरबानी से जिंदा है, और हर क्वार्टर में मेरे ख्याल से वोडाफोन करीबन 2000 करोड़ का लॉस बनाते हैं. तो जब तक खत्म नहीं होता, देखो कर्जे की बात करें तो 50,000 का कर्जा है. अभी पिछले 2 महीने से अच्छी खबर वोडाफोन को है कि उनकी कस्टमर्स ऐड हो गए हैं. तो मैं यही कहूंगा कि देखिए, अगर आपका नजरिया 5 साल है और आपको चांस लेना है तो आप रह सकते हो, लेकिन ये सबसे वीक है.
ऊपर चले जाओ सर.
तो डेफिनेटली आई थिंक इफ यू आर होल्ड फॉर 5 years, आप पोजीशन होल्ड कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फ्रेश बाइंग मुझे नहीं लगता है किसी को करना चाहिए, बिकॉज ये ऐसा सेक्टर है जहाँ पे द कैपिटल इंटेंसिटी इज वेरी लार्ज, and loss making companies beyond a particular level, I think markets are now going to look at it purely as a trading play. अभी भी कोई fundamental value इसमें अभी बनी नहीं.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
समीर मालवणकर सर बोला.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
just wanted to know about the construction or infrastructure industry, how the growth is for short term as well as long term. Sir.
Which industry again? Please mention.
Construction, infrastructure industry. Sir.
So what do you want to know?
Sir, about the company's growth and future prospects, sir. Investment point of view.
Well, I think see, construction infrastructure is a very integral part, and I think to a large extent, government is now pushing all these infrastructure, construction projects, EPC projects. So there's a lot of business, but again, as I said, those companies only will survive and will do well where basically their working capital management is very good. See, because in this business, payments from the government comes after a reasonably big amount of time. So basically, this is not an asset-intensive business. It's basically a working capital intensive. इसका पैसा जल्दी आता है, and those who manage their working capital cycle in a much better way. So I think companies like typically you can talk about maybe NCC, or for that reason even L&T is part of some EPC projects. I mean, definitely pick and choose आपको करना है. I mean, in the hydro projects there are companies like Patel Engineering. So clearly, I think there is a good opportunity. But again, as I was telling you, that wherever the working capital exposure is large, where payment cycle is taking a lot of time, please observe the operating cash flows of these companies, because if operating cash flows are not coming positive for a long time, that means there is definitely a problem in collections. So overall opportunity is big, but again we need to take a stock specific call here.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Pankaj Panchani.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Pankaj.
My question is about Raju Engineering. I have repeatedly seen the recommendations for this business, and there is a recent acquisition by them by some company, Kohli Engineering. And I tried to dig out what business Kohli Engineering is doing, but I could not find any turnover or profit figures for the Kohli Engineering. So can you highlight the future prospects of Raju Engineering and how this Kohli Engineers acquisition will do some value addition to Raju Engineers?
No, big. First of all, Raju Engineers is a company which is a number one player into plastic extrusion machinery. It's a Rajkot-based company, and see, basically this poly, machinery which they have taken over. This is not taken over of late recently. Almost 6 to 8 months back. In fact, in the September and the December quarter, these numbers have been amalgamated with the company. So it's a profitable company. It's a 25, 30-year-old company where Raju Engineers has taken complete management control. And just to tell all of you, Raju Engineers is sitting on a 450 to 475 crore order book. It's a completely zero debt business. Operating cash flow has been positive for the last 5 years. Now, basically, what has gone wrong is that this management has been very less vocal. They don't come on business channel. They don't talk much to the analysts. But yes, they have been organizing analyst meets from time to time. But the core business model of this company is quite strong, because now after taking over Kohli, they are looking at entering Europe. They are thinking of entering the US market. See, my sense is that at these levels, there is nothing to lose. Frankly, let the fourth quarter numbers come out, and obviously FY27 should be also significantly better. Overall, I think market has not been very happy for the fact that they did a QIP at around 110 rupees, and now the stock is trading at around 50, 55 rupees, if I'm not wrong. See, mostly whenever the price correction happens, you have to see the business. अगर अगले 1.5 साल में रिकवरी आता है और अगर अच्छा नंबर्स परफॉर्मेंस आएगा, तो मुझे लगता नहीं कि stock will remain at this level. In fact, Pankaj ji, if you want, I can tell Tushar, we have done a small research note on Raju Engineers where this Kohli machinery details have also been included. So we can send you a copy. You can have a look.
Yeah, Pankaj sir, you can contact me directly.
Sure.
I have post my number as a helpline.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Kabalkar sir.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. Just couple of things I wanted to understand. Sir, I have some investments in Sonacoms. And मुझे auto ancillary products का जानकारी चाहिए था कि how will the sector do and like OEMs and everything. And second is CPaaS providers जैसे telecom में हो गया, जैसे कि aggregators होते हैं, Tanla platforms, Route Mobile. How will they do? Yeah, that's what. And third is another thing is agar if or not oil marketing companies like HPCL and BPCL, then how about companies which are matlab in the process of are into oil processing, जैसे कि Aegis Logistics हो गया, and how is the look over there, sir?
No, fine. I think I'll start with the last question. That is oil processing companies. See, Aegis Logistic, or for that reason, Aegis Wopac, these are definitely good companies to look at. But again, with a slightly medium to long term view. In fact, in this, I would like to add companies like Deep Industries, which does a lot of work for most of the oil companies like ONGC, Kane, Reliance. So basically, they offer consultancy services, infrastructure services, very strong growth. So unlike companies which are extracting oil and which are selling oil via petroleum products, obviously Deep Industries has got a very sustainable model. Again, sitting on a very large order book of almost 1,200 crores. So there are some pockets where growth will come and where these are going to be outfliers. But definitely, again, slightly with the medium term view, one can take a look. As far as Sonacom is concerned, I think after the family tussle, I think now things have come back to normal, business is back to normal, and this is one company in India, which is catering to almost 25 global electric vehicle manufacturers. So next 2 to 3 years is going to be very solid for this company. This company has always been a very popular name in the market. When it did not make any profit, that time it was popular. Now things have started turning positively. So definitely next 2 to 3 years prospects are good. I think you could see a very strong year, that is FY27 going ahead. And as far as CPaaS providers in the telecom space, I think this is still an evolving space. Again, the bigger challenge here is basically the import content is also pretty high. So whenever you talk about CPaaS providers, my sense is that hardware or maybe the software, it requires a decent amount of import content. So I think we'll like to wait for some time here because, frankly speaking, at the end of the day, how the rupee affects their margins, how the rupee affects the demand. These are all things which I think we need to consider. So maybe another 1 or 2 quarters, we get little more clarity, I think, than 1 or 2 CPaaS players which are available. I think we can definitely, tell you which company looks good.
So one more question. So how about the export market? Like there are companies who export fisheries, export of engineering goods. So एक राजेश एक्सपोर्ट करके भी और एक शेयर हो गया, तो आपका उसके ऊपर आपका क्या आउटलुक होता है रिलेटेड टू इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट इंडस्ट्री?
No, I think, see, exports are definitely going to be remunerative. I think auto components, I was mentioning to you, that engineering exports, auto component exports, pharmaceutical exports, these are all promising areas. But to be very frank with you, after the new tariff regime has come in, we need to understand how this gets impacted in their pricing. But yes, I think auto components should do well. Fisheries also should do well because US marine exports have also now started picking up. As far as engineering exports are also concerned, definitely good. But I think, for engineering, the big market is there in India. And I think, of course, companies which do a lot of export business for international clients, companies like Azad Engineering, for example, they are doing pretty well. So yes, selectively stock specific wise, things should do well. Rajesh Exports, according to me, I think should be avoided because, it's a company where there has hardly been any interaction from the management side. And the balance sheet also depicts a very kind of a skewed picture despite being a large player in gold exports. Margins are not great, operating cash flows are also not great. So I think such kind of companies where there's hardly any communication from the management, I think it needs to be avoided.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Parag Saxena, sir. Parag sir, are you there?
Okay. So meanwhile, can you touch on HBL Engineering?
Yeah, I think HBL, according to me, again now will be a compounder because I remember, when it was 75, 80, we had spoken to few people. I think now today at these levels, opportunity is large, but I think from these levels, again, it will be a compounder. Very good business, not only in railways, defense, aerospace, I think in the Kavach area. So getting business is not a problem, but I think from these levels, if one were to think of making a kind of an alpha, I think it's going to be tough now because this kind of level will take some time. My sense is that unless you got the next, say, 2 to 3 years in mind, a very big upside looks little difficult. But yes, a compounder of 15-20% definitely looks possible. Very good business, very good promoter.
So one can keep on holding it for long, sir, because I got it in a week.
You can hold on, but don't expect this stock to now multiply the way it has multiplied in the past 2 years.
Thank you, sir.
I think we'll stop question and answer session.
I think we'll take last one question.
Okay. Yeah, anyone ask? Rajkumar Gupta, sir, you want to ask?
Sure. Hi, Avinash, sir. How is your view on Fredun Pharma and Amansa Holding, the way they are doing the capex and all?
First question was on Fredun Pharma, right?
Yes, sir.
And दूसरा company?
Amansa Holding, that is in IV Pharmaceuticals.
दोनों कंपनीज में व्यू पॉजिटिव है. पहला कंपनी में ज्यादा पॉजिटिव है because animal health care and veterinary products में Fredun is a very well known name, and we have met the promoter, we had an interview with them, and one thing I can tell you कि अगले 2-3 साल में this company will become a very big company because the growth potential and the focus of the promoter is very very solid. In fact, this is slowly becoming institutional stock now. तो मैं कहूंगा कि फ्रेडून फार्मा मुझे ज्यादा पसंद है. अगर आपका होल्डिंग है तो होल्ड करिए. इफ यू वांट टू बाय, थिंक ऑफ बाइंग इट इन अ स्मॉल स्टैगर्ड मैनर because prices have also shot up here. But again, looking at the growth prospects, if you start buying in maybe an SIP mode, you can definitely think of making a good alpha in the next 2 years.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So I think, friends, there are many question requests.
Sir,
but
how about Ola Electric?
I think avoidable.
Okay. And Amaraja battery?
अमर राजा भी कंपाउंडर है सर, 1.5-2 साल का टाइम फ्रेम आपके पास है तो डेफिनेटली स्टे इन्वेस्टेड. दिस बिजनेस विल डेफिनेटली बेनिफिट बिकॉज अभी तो लिथियम बैटरीज में आ गए हैं, फ्यूल सेल बनाने वाले हैं. तो कहीं ना कहीं सर ये कि इसके पास स्केल है, बैलेंस शीट है, कैश फ्लो है, एंड इन द बैटरी मार्केट हार्डली 2 प्लेयर्स ऑपरेट, वन इज एक्साइड एंड वन इज अमरा राजा. सो आई थिंक अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत बड़ी है, तो डेफिनेटली वर्थवाइल होल्डिंग, आई मीन लॉन्गर टर्म की.
थैंक यू सर. माय रिक्वेस्ट इज, क्वेश्चंस रह गए होंगे, किसी को और जानकारी चाहिए हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स के बारे में और वेबसाइट के बारे में, तो आप मुझे हेल्प फोन कर सकते हैं. आवर हेल्पलाइन नंबर इज 8999681646. I have posted it on chat box. You can take my number. You can directly contact me.
I think thank you very much. I think we'll have such kind of webinars now regularly, and we'll update you whenever we have this. So we want to make this a regular kind of process so that all of us can get connected regularly. Thank you very much.